Graduation Day, Part 1. Buffy and the gang finally find some useful information about the Ascension, but Mayor Elbren figures out a way to distract her, which wouldn't have been that hard to begin with.
We open with everybody signing out their graduation hats and gowns. Xander and Cordelia are talking not completely in insults again, and Xander has a sinking feeling that he's been lucky too many times and is going to die soon. I hope so.
It's been a long time since we've seen Harmony, but we see her and Willow sign each other's yearbooks.
Everyone's doing that dumb thing where everybody's being nostalgic before anything is actually over, and Buffy points out how weird it is, and she doesn't see how graduation is that big of a deal.
Even though just last episode, the prom was the most important thing in the world. Xander comes by and informs them that Mayor Elbren is the one giving the commencement speech.
Meanwhile, Faith is visiting a Professor Worth, who looks like Eugene Levy's less successful brother. She's there on behalf of the mayor and says that he's a loose end before stabbing him,
showing that she doesn't even hesitate to commit murder anymore. Later, Mayor Elbren has Faith dress up in a really simple dress that he thinks is great for some reason, and gives her a pep talk about how the Ascension is really for the both of them.
And continues with his fatherly affections.
The dumb jock shows Willow that he got a B- on his history exam, and he thanks her for helping him.
And he thanks her for making him a less dumb jock.
Willow tells Oz that she's sad about the idea of everyone dying at the Ascension,
and says they should find a, quote, spell or something to stop the Ascension. What a good idea. I'm glad you waited until right before graduation to think about that.
Oh, man. Anya tries to ask Xander out, but he says he's too worried about the Ascension to think about anything else. And when he mentions that, she has a strange reaction.
Buffy has found news of Professor Worth's murder and is sharing it with Giles and Wesley, who are fencing. Well, one of them is fencing.
And she says that Mayor Elbren might have had him killed because he knew something important.
And Wesley says she should wait until that night to go check it out. And I thought, why not check it out right now? But then I remembered she's in school. But then I remembered that she's not actually doing anything important. So yeah, she should go right now.
Xander walks in with Anya, who tells them about a previous ascension that she witnessed, where almost everyone in the town was killed.
And she says that all of the demons thus far have been demon-human hybrids, and the ascension means that a human will become a pure demon.
Which I guess explains that discrepancy with the Harvest, where Giles said all the demons had left Earth.
Wow.
Good retcon, writers, for once.
Wasn't that the first episode?
Yeah, it was the second episode.
Jeez. I kind of repressed all those.
As things are being set up for graduation, Mayor Elbren tells Snyder to make sure all the kids are present and tells him that he will be rewarded.
Why wouldn't all the kids be present at their own graduation?
Yeah. Maybe he means to have him make sure that, like, Buffy and the others are there? I don't know.
Back in the library, Buffy mentions the box full of bugs, but Anya doesn't know how it's connected to the Ascension. And during the discussion, the mayor enters, and they just let him grab the book that they're reading without saying or doing anything.
He mocks them and says he's going to eat Buffy, causing Giles to stab him with a fencing sword, which of course does no harm, and he tells them he'll see them at the commencement.
Anya says there's no way they can stop the Ascension, and she's getting the hell out of there when Cordelia pops up, and I guess this is the first time that she's in the loop about the Ascension. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
She's really done a lot this season. That was sarcastic, in case you couldn't tell.
At home, Buffy packs for Joyce and tells her that she has to leave town.
And we get the expected heart-to-heart about trust and caring about each other.
Blah, blah, blah. Willow and Oz are doing research, and Willow says she's not confident they can find anything because she hasn't even found a way to turn Amy back into a human yet.
She's bummed out and thinks that Oz doesn't care and they should be panicking, and he responds accordingly.
Even though Willow, up to this point, has been just as flippant as everyone else about everybody dying. Angel shows up at the dead professor's place while Buffy is checking it out, saying that Giles asked him to help.
She's determined that Worth studied volcanoes, and despite being accepted to some pretty reputable colleges, she doesn't understand anything outside of commas.
And they take a bunch of files to Giles. Outside, Buffy once again demonstrates her superior communication skills.
Are you mad at me for being around too much or for not being around enough?
Duh. Yes.
Which?
What?
I don't get you.
And Angel even says,
Just because I'm not acting like a brat doesn't mean I don't feel anything.
It's nice to know what you think of me.
What do you expect me to say when you just attack?
Before Faith, thankfully, shoots him and shuts them both up.
They go to Giles and
the end.
They go to Giles and pull the arrow out. while Wesley reviews the professor's files and finds that he has discovered a carcass buried in dried lava in Hawaii that may have been the same type of demon that Mayor Elbren is going to turn into.
And Giles makes a connection that once the mayor has actually ascended, they can then hurt him.
Angel suddenly collapses, and Giles smells the arrow to see if anything was on it, but doesn't try putting on gloves or anything.
I think you're discounting Giles' sense of smell. Haven't you seen that saying in Latin in his office? It means the nose knows.
Wesley says he'll contact the council to try to identify the poison, and we cut back to Willow and Oz, and it turns out they had sex.
Meanwhile, the mayor says it's time for him to eat some of the bugs out of the box, and Faith says she wants to kill more people.
Two things that I was hoping we'd get to see.
She asks if she'll still be needed after the ascension, and the mayor says of course, but I was wondering if that was true, or if he was going to just discard her, because he does have all those fatherly feelings towards her.
Yeah, I wondered if that was legitimate, or if he was just manipulating her, because she didn't have a father figure. At the school, the gang researches the poison on the arrow, and Xander runs into Anya, who asks him to come with her and escape, but he says he has to stay to help his friends.
And despite Anya's valid counterpoint, he still rejects her offer.
Are you really going to be that much help to them? I mean, you'll probably just get in the way.
Wesley tells Buffy and Giles that the council refuses to help Angel because he is a vampire, and Buffy says she's not going to work for the council anymore.
This moment was supposed to be big, even though she's never really been, quote, following orders. She's been doing things because she feels it's the right thing to do. Even when that one dude showed up in that other episode, she pretty much spat in his face. This wasn't the big shock I think the writers intended it to be.
Wesley says the mayor wanted her to get distracted, which is what's happening, but Buffy brushes him off anyway.
Typical.
And she goes to the rest of the gang and learns that the only cure to Angel's poisoning is for him to drain the blood of a Slayer.
And Buffy says, great, we can use Faith. And when they point out that it will kill Faith, Buffy responds,
Not if she's already dead.
but doesn't stick around to find out if Faith being alive or dead will affect this magic ritual in any way. Maybe if Faith is already dead, it won't work. Maybe if Faith is already dead, it won't work.
Why? It's still the same blood.
But she's dead.
If you kill me and then you drain my blood...
It's a magic ritual.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go dig up Kendra. Then we get a montage of what everybody is doing.
Willow somehow finds Faith's new address, and Buffy pays her a visit.
After some posturing, they call them the big guns and have their stunt doubles duke it out to some goofy Richard Band music.
Some of the camera work was trying a little too hard, but overall I thought it was a pretty decent fight. Eventually they go out a window onto the roof, and Buffy handcuffs the two of them together. Back in the library, Giles figures out what form the demon is, and there's a dumb joke about how he hides his weird books in plain sight.
Boy, it's a good thing no one ever wanted to check any of these books out, huh?
This is very convenient.
The mayor is finishing his bug feast,
Which, unfortunately, we only catch the tail end of.
but I liked how he even had his napkin tucked in. It fit his character. When a bad actor enters the room to tell him about Buffy being at Faith's.
We don't knock during dark rituals?
Sir, there may be trouble at Faith's.
We might have a problem.
And we cut back to Buffy and Faith flinging each other around.
Pretty long fight.
Faith finally manages to break the handcuffs
When Buffy finally stabs her right in the guts.
with her own knife. But she jumps off the roof onto a truck, which the driver somehow doesn't notice, which might mean he's working for Mayor Elbren, I don't know. But he drives away.
And we get a big to be continued, which I hope opens with Buffy jumping off of the roof with her Slayer powers, flagging down the driver and getting Faith's body out of the truck. But that would make too much sense, so I do not have a lot of confidence.
Graduation Day, Part 1. Overall,
So there's no more time to beat around the bush about the Ascension since we're in the season finale, but I'm still a little surprised they didn't throw in some nonsense B-plot, since they've straight up ignored the mayor's plans for more than a few episodes after knowing about it. And it even kind of happened here, with Willow saying they should look for a spell to stop the mayor. It was weird how neither Giles nor Wesley was aware that a pure demon was a thing, and they've just been fighting hybrids up to this point. Does that mean the entire Watchers Council also doesn't know? Buffy talked a lot about how pointless graduation is, saying things that were not entirely false. But like you said, I think it's funny that she clung so hard to prom just last episode. And Faith being killed, to me, didn't really matter that much. For her blood being a plot device, yes. But for her overall character, not so much. She had a lot of potential when she showed up, a chance to really shake things up. But then she only appeared sporadically and wasn't even mentioned most of the time before she just became an extension of the mayor's character. It's kind of a letdown. I hope she has more to do. Maybe she's not really dead.
So you thought she was dead? I thought she was just knocked out and was just going to escape and come back next episode.
Yeah, I did. I thought she was dead. Every time I think the Buffy Angel drama is done, it's dragged up again, usually by Buffy herself, all while lamenting that she just can't do it anymore when she's the one causing it. I'm not sure why Wesley told the council that Angel was a vampire, and that's why they needed the poison cure. Couldn't he have just omitted that part?
Well, I thought he had to specifically say that it was a poison that would affect a vampire.
Yeah. Maybe. And again, Buffy defying the council was also not as big of a deal as the writers wanted it to seem. Anya's new attachment to Xander is kind of weird. It doesn't seem to fit here. I imagine since he's buddies with Cordelia again, that will turn into another romance triangle, which are my favorite parts of this show. And I'm hoping that Amy makes a triumphant comeback in part 2 and uses some newly discovered rodent magic against the mayor. That would be awesome. That would give this whole season an A+. I'm hoping part 2 is better than part 1. I'm hoping they have a good plan, there's a good fight, things matter a little bit more.
You're asking for a lot.
I know, but usually, season finales, people put in that little extra of effort. They could still do it. It's not too late.
Yeah.
Come on, bring Amy back. You could do it. Maybe Amy's mom will burst out of the trophy case. I wasn't too terribly impressed with this one. I gave it a C.
I gave it a C+. I didn't think this episode was bad, but it wasn't anything special.
I think you say that for pretty much every episode.
Yeah, it was good to finally get some real storyline advancement, just as the season is about to end. I liked that characters finally started doing things that made sense, although they still didn't do other things that it would make sense to do, and their immature stupidity still kept getting in the way of everything. Even Joyce was being stupid with how she was refusing to leave at first, purely for lamely blatant dramatic purposes. Buffy and Angel's argument was just as dumb as any other one they've ever had, and I can't wait for him to leave, but of course that would only solve half the problem. Willow sleeping with Oz happened at a really dumb time, especially after she had just told him about how he didn't seem worried.
Can't plan love, man.
Anya getting involved made sense because she knew something about what was going to happen, so that was nice. Although her coming back, like you said, kind of just felt like whatever. It seemed like it was supposed to be funny, but it really wasn't. It was just kind of there. Mayor Elbran is pretty much just doing the same thing he's been doing, although he did have a good idea for how to distract Buffy, I guess. I thought it was dumb that he visited them in the library, though. I was thinking they could have just grabbed him and stuck him in the cage until after graduation, when he wouldn't be immortal anymore.
Yeah, he's not super strong or anything, is he?
I don't think so. The only thing I would worry about is that maybe he had some kind of plan in place in case, he didn't show up back to Faith or something like that, but I don't know.
If he had a grenade and he blew it up, he would be okay, right?
Presumably. I mean, yeah, he could have just done that there. I was surprised that Buffy actually stabbed Faith at the end, but I'm already dreading how long it's going to take for Buffy to get over doing that. Her turning on the council was also interesting, although I don't really see it changing anything. Like you said, it doesn't really matter anymore. It's not like she gets direct orders from them, and she never really did. She just kind of, took care of whatever turned up, which is what she's going to be doing anyway. Even though I didn't think this first part was great, I am intrigued to see what happens with the mayor, and I'm hoping it doesn't disappoint.